Hello everyone, Xanara Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and we are right into another deck profile for Demon Slayer Volume 2 coming up, and this is going to be the deck profile for the Tanjiro Nezuko deck. This deck is very complicated, definitely one of the decks I feel the least comfortable doing a deck profile for, because this is a very unique deck in the sense of you're going to need a lot of events / sites in this deck that give you value on your characters. And in this game, characters on the board, I think, mean a lot more than events and sites, and that just kind of puts you behind in the game a little bit to preference this deck. Now, I do think that this still will be a very strong deck, and this deck profile here is just to kind of give you some base of what this Swordsmith Village kind of archetype blue cards want to do. This one will look pretty similar to like a different build that you might want to do with the Tokito and the Miskonroji, but this one is all focused around Tanjiro and Nezuko, right? Before I get into the character cards, though, I think in this deck profile, it is very important to probably touch on what these events and sites do. So we're definitely running 4 of our special trigger. It just lets you kill a 3k or less, but if you have Tanjiro on your field, 4k or less, if you have Tanjiro and a Nichirin sword, Tanjiro both on your field, then you get to do a 5k or less. So one that kind of gradually goes up, which is great for a 3-cost special trigger. And then 4 of our action point restands the mark. Now, what does the Nichirin sword do? So this is Nichirin sword, Tanjiro's sword. It costs you 2 energy, 1 action point. It's a get trigger in life, so we're only running 2 of this card, and we have a lot of ways to search it. So you play this site active onto your field. It does generate you an energy, which is great, and it says activate main, switch to resting. A character has been chosen by an ability of a Nichirin sword. If any of this card cannot be chosen by this ability. So you only get to do it once per turn, right? So you can't stack this up on your Tanjiro. Essentially, all the swords kind of say that same thing. But you get to give that character 1000 BP until the end of the turn. Then you may look at the top card of your deck. If you do, place it at the top or bottom of your deck. All this is going to do for you is help you be able to, search your cards out, get the cards that you want in your deck, and you are off to having a good time. But this card is very important in the deck, so definitely don't think that it is not. But just the 2 of, I think it's good because we have a lot of ways to search for it in the deck. Now, we also run the Swordsmith Village. This is a 3 energy, 1 action point, get trigger in life, double energy generator site. You get to play this site at active onto the field, right? So in the dream world, you do want to start with a couple, maybe 0 and 1 drops, play the Nichirin sword down, and then play the Swordsmith Village down. And now your deck is, dealing with 3 energy to start for the rest of the game, right? You just want the 3 energy to go off of, and that is what these cards are going to do. And you only have to play 1 more card on your backline, which could be just another Swordsmith Village, right? Which is great. And now you only take up 3 slots, which is the benefit of not running bodies on the back line. But what else does it do, right? Activate main, switch to resting, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Swordsmith Village or Nichirin sword affinity card among them and add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you added a card to your hand, place 1 card from your hand to your sideline. So this searches essentially every card in the deck, and you get to add it to your hand and trash 1 card, which is really good. This deck is going to be super consistent. And I think just seeing 2 copies of each of these cards are really important, right? So these are the 2 important cards in the deck that everything else revolves around. Now, I am adding in this little really tricky event here, right? It's 2 energy, 1 action point, active trigger in life, so we're at least getting some value off of this card in our life as well. And it says choose 1 character on your field that has been chosen by the ability on one of your Nichirin sword affinity cards. It gains 1000 BP and either impact +1 or damage +1 until the end of the turn, and you draw a card. So you play this card, you draw a card, right? But it has to be a card that you targeted with the Nichirin sword already, right? So you have to have the Nichirin sword. You target your Tanjiro with the Nichirin sword, which then gives you 1000 BP, and then it lets you look at the top card of your deck, and then now you can then use the Raging Sword on that Tanjiro, which then gives it another 1000 BP, and either your choice of damage +1 or impact +1. I think that this is, and it also lets you draw a card. So regardless, it's still a draw card. You can see how consistent this deck is. I do think it flows very well together, but the fact that you get to run so many events and sites, I think, is the issue with the deck, which would make it maybe probably brick here and there. But the cards are low cost, and I do believe in this deck probably being a very powerful deck. But really good way to be able to end the game, and it's +1 impact or +1 damage, since some of your cards already have those keywords. But now, let's get into the Tanjiro. Raid on top of Tanjiro, 4 energy, 4 action point, raid in life, 1 energy generator. And he says, when this character is chosen by the ability On one of your Nichirin Sword cards, it gains impact +1. So already there, as soon as you touch him with the Nichirin Sword, he's gaining 1000 BP and impact +1. And essentially, once you have this combo down, you're doing that every turn, which is pretty powerful to be able to get 1000 BP. So you're swinging with a 5k impact every single turn once you have your setup, unless they find some way to block it out. But the one thing to note about that Nichirin Sword, right, it could go on any of your Tanjiros, so then you're boosting that Tanjiro by 1000, and then that other card that we played earlier, or talked about earlier, will then give that Tanjiro impact. So you have a ton of ways to have a 5k impact Tanjiro on the board. He's just one of them as well. But when played, you may return one Nezuko on your field to your hand. If you do, place one card from your hand into your sideline, then choose up to one character 4000 less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. This is why the deck is so good. I feel like a lot of people haven't been talking about this card so much, but he is a kill spell. You bring him down, you bounce the Nezuko lets you bring her and the card underneath her to your hand, and you get to blow up a 4k body, right? So say you only paid the 1 AP to do that, and you still had 4 energy on your backline. Well, now you can play the Nezuko down, get her effect, and then raid the Nezuko again. Now you have all your swings you're ready to go through on your opponent, and that's going to be some pretty big plays since you just killed a body. You're going to have multiple instances of impact. So what does the Nezuko do? She's 3 energy, 1 action point, raid on top of Nezuko, raid in life, 3500 plus BP, so you know we're getting a boost, and she generates you with energy. She just says if this character is returned from your field to your hand, return this rated character and its base card to your hand instead. So when you return her to your hand with the Tanjiro, you get both cards back to your hand. So you are losing a body on the board, but you're not losing a card advantage out of your hand because she lets you get 2 back, right? Because you're going to lose a card as well. But when played, if Tanjiro's on your field, you get to draw a card. If Tanjiro and the Nichirin Sword Tanjiro are both on your field, you may draw 2 cards, then place 1 card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. This is so powerful. Which you're gonna have this, right? Like you're gonna have Nezuko out. Like you may just draw a card with the Nezuko to start out the game, right? Because you'll have some Tanjiro on the board. And then on later turns, when you have your full setup of the sword and the Smith Village, and then say you're at your 3 action points, you raid the Tanjiro, bounce the Nezuko, play the Nezuko to raid the Nezuko. Now you're drawing 2 more cards back to your hand and then putting 1 back on the top of your deck. This deck has a lot of draw power, a lot of consistency. Really, really good. So those are your 2 raid cards. There are a couple of other cards that cost a little more that we're running. 2 of the Nezuko. I love this guy. He is so cool in the game or the show. 3 energy, 1 action point. Double energy generator. We don't need a ton of double energy generators because we do have the sight in the deck, but he is one of them, and I think this card is so important. It's a draw trigger in life, which you love to see. Double energy generator, so he's just going to sit on your back line because he is only 2000 BP, but he says when played, choose one of the following. If you have a Nichirin Sword on your field, draw a card, which is great. He replaces himself. Or look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Nichirin Sword card among them, and add it to your hand. Place from any cards you buy in your deck. So he searches your deck for the Nichirin Sword if you don't already have it. But I like the value of this card because if you already have the sword, now you're just drawing a card. You can see how consistent this deck is in wanting to get these plays down. And I know just only having the 8 raid targets is, probably something people aren't happy about, but you're going to see this combo a lot. And some decks don't even have 8, right? And I think that it is going to be consistent and fast enough for you to be able to do all these plays where you don't need another raid target. But I am supplementing the 4 cost with this Yorichi Type 0. It's a 4000 BP body, active in life, so it's not a get trigger. I would have liked it better if it was a get trigger. 4 energy, 1 action point, generation 1 energy. He says, when sideline, choose one of the following. Add up to 1 Nichirin Sword affinity card from your sideline to your hand. So if you ever did have to trash it, now you can get 1 back. Or look at the top 7 cards of your deck and reveal it to 1 Nichirin Sword from among them and add it to your hand. Place remaining on the bottom of your deck in any order, and you don't have to trash anything. The Nezuko and then this Type 0 are just free searches in the deck that keep value in your hand, which makes the deck so much consistency here. But going down the line, we have another 3-drop, which is a Tanjiro here. It's our color trigger, double energy generator, 3000 BP. Once per turn, if this character chosen by the ability of one of your Nichirin Sword affinity cards, choose it to 1 Nezuko in your field. It gains 1000 BP until the end of the turn. But you can also say activate main if on the front line, pay an AP, choose 1 Nezuko in your field, and it gains 1000 BP until the end of the turn. Tanjiro makes sure Nezuko is really, 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 really big, and the Nichirin Sword makes the Tanjiro big, right? Which is really, really good. And if you have smaller Nezukos like this particular one here, or just your other Nezuko down here that's already a 2K, you can boost them up a bunch with this card. And that is kind of how we get our other 4K swings. We don't need a lot of 4-drops in the deck because the rest of the deck boost all the other characters up by 1,000 to help them get their swings in too. And it is a color trigger in blue, which is great. Going down the line, I'm running one of this Kanamori. It's just your when active, get the double energy. This is just here, just in case you're not curving out with your Swordsmith Village and the Nichirin Sword. This guy will provide you a double energy generator that doesn't cost you 3 energy to be able to get down. And I think having a double energy that doesn't cost you 3 in your deck is very important to see early, even though we do run a bunch of lower drops as well. Now, we are running 3 of this Nezuko, 3,000 plus BP, which is great to see on the 2-drop because we can boost her up to 5. Active trigger in line. When attacking, look at the top card of your deck. Then place it at the top of your deck. If that card is Tanjiro or a Nichirin Sword, you may reveal it. If you do, give this character 1,000 BP till the end of your turn and place the reveal card on the top of your deck. So she just lets you, when attacking, look at the top card, place it back on the top. If it was a Tanjiro or the sword, she now gives 1,000 BP until the end of the turn, which is so good in this deck because you have a lot of ways to stack your deck with the other Nezukos and other cards, so you can always get that 1,000 BP. And this Nezuko is going to be one of the best cards in the deck of getting in the 4K swing. She facilitates it herself, and then if you have the other cards, they just make sure you always get the 4K swing. And you can see now why we don't need a lot of 4 drops that go up to 4K, because we get to boost our characters and let them get going on. And obviously, this is a great art of Nezuko. Now, we are running 4 of this Nezuko, which is a draw trigger in life, which is welcome to see. 2,000 BP, 1 energy generator, 1 action point, and 1 energy to play. She just says, when play, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Now, this is how you stack your deck even further with this. If you don't want it, put it on the bottom. If you need it, put it on the top. This deck has all the consistency needed to play these events here. And this is what you love to see in a deck that is event-based, because now you're able to facilitate your hand, facilitate what's in your deck, and then make it way more consistent. Now, we are running 3 of this Tanjiro here. It just says, once per turn, when this character is chosen by the ability of one of your Nichirin Sword, it gains 500 BP. And spoilers, when you target him with the Nichirin Sword, you're giving him 1,000 anyways, which puts him up to 4K. So once again, you see that this deck is going to be swinging in with a ton of 4K bodies. I know it doesn't look so threatening since we don't have a ton of raids and other cards over here, but trust me, this deck is very, very scary. Now, we're running 3 of these 0-drop Nezuko. She just says, when play, look at the top card of your deck, then place it on the top or bottom. 2,000 BP. She's not a trigger in life, which is why we're running more of the higher drop Nezukos, because we'd rather run more of those and less of this 0-drop. And then also running 4 of the get trigger 0-drop Tanjiro. This one we definitely want to run a 4 of because you can see the gap here between the 1-drop to the 3-drop. There are no 2-drop Tanjiros are running, just 3 of this 1-drop here. And then 3 of the Tenshin Techi Kawahara. This is the guy of the Swordsmith Village, I think, mayor of it. He's just a 0 energy, 1 action point, 500 BP, active trigger in life, which is great to see on a card like this because this is our searcher. It lets us look at the top 4 cards, reveal up to 1 Swordsmith Village or Nichirin Sword, which is every card in the deck. Among them, add to your hand, place 3 cards at the bottom of your deck. If you added a card to your hand, place 1 card from your hand to the sideline. So this is the one that makes you sideline a card when searching, which is great to see. You love to see it. This deck is going to be very hard to master. You're going to have to put a lot of time into this deck, but I think it's going to be very, very rewarding because this deck is going to be so consistent, so powerful, and you're going to see, hopefully you can see the vision after me trying to talk about these cards. You don't need your raids out to get 4K swings. The swords alone do let you do that. Now, running all these events, you are susceptible to people messing with your energy line and swapping your characters or doing things like that, which is kind of an issue, but they can't swap it with events, right? As long as you have a character on the back line. And in this deck, a lot of times you don't need to have any characters on your back line. 2 Swordsmith Villages alone, or 2 swords and the Smith Village alone are enough for your energy line. So you can always just play your characters onto your front line and constantly play characters up and up and up and block with them if you need to. So you don't have to worry about your opponent pushing characters back or making them swap because you'll just put them all on the front line anyways. And this is going to be a very aggro, very powerful low to the ground deck, and I think that you should be scared of it and be excited to play against it too, because it's going to be pretty popular, and I think it is going to be a very different deck in the card game that we've not seen before doing things like this. But that's the deck profile. I'm trying to get all these out before regionals this weekend to you guys, so please be looking out on the channel. But don't forget to leave the video a like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know down in the comments down below what Demon Slayer Volume 2 decks y'all are trying to build. But that's the video. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. Peace.